All right, what's up, my brother? So in this video, we've got a request from a guy in a 12-year marriage that's gone absolutely cold and he's not happy about it. I'm going to read what's going on to you guys and then provide some feedback on this. It says, I'm reaching out because I've recently run into a few problems with my long-term marriage. I'm married 12 years, have 3 incredible boys. I work for myself and have been successful by my own assessment. It says, I've recently pivoted into a new career and closed my original business. More on this below. This is a little bit of a broken sort of English, guys, by the way, because it looks like he's writing this from Europe. Probably not his first language. He goes, some weeks back, I just put my foot down with my wife and said to her that we need to really assess where we're going because I don't want to be in a roommate situation for the rest of my marriage. I simply left the floor open to discuss it. Weeks passed and with nothing, so I started separating myself and sleeping on the couch. I remained courteous, respectful, kind, and took care of stuff like normal. We've always had great sex when we have it, but it peaks and troughs, and it's way more troughs than peaks lately. I've never thought about stepping outside of my marriage despite numerous offers over the years. Loyalty is something I really pride myself on. I simply explained that biologically we're going to drift and that she is replaceable as much as I am, because if she isn't attracted to me, then who is she attracted to? I wanted to know how we're going to proceed because I'm not staying in a relationship without desire and sex. I simply said if I don't get it where I want it with the person I want to be with, then what is the solution? I don't want a mistress or a hall pass a few times a month. My wife is damn hot. Most women do not even catch my attention. The answer that I got to this was that the sex has never been important to her with any of her previous 2 boyfriends or 2 guys she saw on the casual. He says in brackets, this checks out with the deep background check I did. So I suggested that we get some blood work done to look at what's happening with hormones. Good move, buddy. As it doesn't make sense to not have any desire. I explained that I may not be rich, but I am on my way to achieving that. I am loyal and good looking and in shape, so what's the problem? My wife is loyal. I did a thorough background check on her before getting married. I knew some ex-military guys who can hack phones, emails, etc. I was getting married, so I wanted to make sure I wasn't with a woman who had a high notch count or any prior attachments to guys on the afterburn. She was all clear. I managed to really find someone with a lot of green flags, no red flags when we started dating and got married. Finally, this past weekend, after 5 weeks, we had a long discussion and it came out that she doesn't feel taken care of and safe financially and hasn't done so for 12 years. We'll get into that in a second. The stress makes her lose desire. Man, it cut deep. It fucking hurt, but I know it wasn't said in anger to me. I genuinely believe and I understand. I've always worked for myself, and no matter how much I earn, it always feels like it's not enough. It's fucking frustrating. This past year, I've been struggling to provide because I changed careers into something that's very lucrative and will set me off for life, but it takes time and it's got to gather some momentum. How do I keep showing value as a man in this situation? I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I train like a mofo, I lead my kids, I protect, and I work so damn hard for my family. Furthermore, I asked if her loss of attraction was because I was in her orbit day to day. She said yes. I really have to say thank you because of your work, Rich, and book volume 1 really helped me navigate this time because I really was asking myself, what am I staying here for with someone who isn't attracted to me, who doesn't express genuine burning desire for me, and who I bend over backwards to take care of. I was an international level athlete in my teens to mid-20s, and I have never had an issue attracting women, but I've never changed who I was or put them on a pedestal. The moment they gave me garbage or crap, I showed them the door. I've started being a little bit of an asshole again, saying no to things that aren't what I want to do or don't believe in. My question is, how do I take back the alpha if I'm struggling financially and it's costing me intimacy in my marriage? Have I got it wrong? Appreciate your thanks. All right, let's get into this. Hop on the road. Well, first thing I want to say, brother, is that's a story as old as time. You're not the first guy that's experienced this, and you certainly won't be the last. In fact, I would probably argue it's probably the norm today for most guys in a long-term relationship or marriage. All right, my friend, well, the first thing that she said right to your face is that your proximity is an issue for the relationship, and that's one of the reasons why she's losing attraction for you. I heard you mention that you read my first book. I have a second book called The Top Shelf Man. And one of the areas that I examine in that book is the notion that proximity, familiarity, and exclusivity are all the 3 itties that tick down to the end of many long-term relationships and marriages. If you haven't read my second book, it's just been published. It's available on Amazon. There's a link below. My editor has it up on the screen so you know what the cover looks like. Read it. The problem with close proximity is you become way too familiar to her. And that's one of the problems with living with a woman or getting married to a woman and living together. It's always going to be an issue. Without spending an hour explaining all the details, my book goes into details about why that happens and how to sort of manage that a little bit better. But what most guys find is when you spend more and more time with a woman and she becomes more and more familiar with your schedule and she's more assured of sexual exclusivity from you, you don't generally get better behavior, which is counterintuitive because we're all told, you know, do what's right, marry her, put a ring on her finger, commit to her, and you've done all that. The good thing about you is it sounds like you've got options. It doesn't sound like you're one of those guys that doesn't have options. I hear a lot of guys go, I'm a loyal man, you know, I'm an absolute loyal man. And loyalty doesn't mean anything if you don't have optionality. Loyalty only exists if you have optionality and you deny that optionality access to you sexually, if you know what I'm saying, which sounds like what you're doing. One of the most successful marriages that I know of, it's been together for almost 30 years now, is with a guy who was an entrepreneur that did a lot of traveling for at least half the month, sometimes 3 out of 4 weeks of the month, because he ran a business that required him to do a lot of traveling, flying around the world, going to trade conferences, China, dealing with the manufacturing process. And that's one of the reasons, and even asking his wife, you know, I asked him one time side by side, that's one of the reasons why their marriage lasted for so long and still continues to be good for them. And they still have pretty epic sex, as he describes himself. Now, let's talk about the money situation, right? Because it sounds like she's talking to you about, you know, I haven't felt like I'm been taken care of financially. I'm maybe worried a little bit about money. You know, it quote unquote feels like security may not be there. And if I'm being absolutely honest with you, that's really a big steaming pile of horse shit, okay? Because women will throw themselves at guys that just got out of jail without a dime to their name, absolute criminals with little teardrops under their eyes and tattoos everywhere. If they're good looking enough, they'll spend the night with them very, very enthusiastically, many times in fact, and again many times in the morning. So it's not an issue of you having money or having financial security to turn her on. I think that the vast majority of cases like this end up happening because you ignore those 3 iddies. Again, proximity, familiarity, and exclusivity. It's written in detail in my book. Definitely make sure you go down the rabbit hole so you understand that. But some distance between you and a woman, some uncertainty between you and a woman is a very, very good thing if you want genuine burning desire from her over the long haul. You mentioned the sex is, you know, happening in troughs. It's ups and downs, but it's mostly downs, right? Well, that's a pretty strong indication to me that there's issues, strong issues with the relationship. And she's also expressing contempt for you, my friend. Contempt is the clock that ticks down to every relationship. It ends every relationship. Doesn't matter if it's romantic, doesn't matter if it's a business partnership. If somebody expresses contempt for you, as little as it may be, or as great as it may become, again, the greater that it is, the closer you are to the end of that relationship, there's a problem there. These things are very, very hard to recover from. You've been married for 10 years, you've been in this situation for 10 years, she is expressing that she doesn't seem to have a lot of trust or interest in your capacity to provide and protect the family. Doesn't sound like you're starving, doesn't sound like you don't have a roof over your head, doesn't sound like the mortgage isn't being paid, doesn't sound like the car's being repossessed. It just sounds like, to me, the way that she's describing it to you, is that she's not getting enough from you. Which, if we're being honest, my friend, she's getting exactly what most women get in the vast majority of marriages. Taken care of for the most part. Not starving, the kids are looked after, you got a good relationship with everybody. She's just not throwing herself at you and wanting to be intimate with you. And when she's intimate with you, it's starfish, it sounds like, right? It's very basic, it's down in the doldrums, and it's almost like it's a transaction, like she's doing it just to sort of placate you. A lot of these guys get in situations where they get sex from their wives, you know, once every month or a couple of months or 3 months, or on their birthday or on Valentine's Day or on these special occasions. Bad sign. She's not expressing interest in being intimate with you on a regular basis, let's say a few times a week. You definitely have problems in your marriage. So that takes us to the next point, which is, well, how do you fix all that? Well, my friend, the go plan is the exact same as the stay plan. There's probably areas in your life that you need to level up on and get some work done. I don't know what they are. You didn't give me a ton of detail, but it sounds like financially, that is the one key area that you might be missing on. And if I'm being absolutely honest with you, my friend, she sounds like the kind of woman that even if your financial situation would double or triple, she would go and find a new reason to not want to be intimate with you because she's so familiar with you and she's in such close proximity, and maybe also because you're offering her assurance of sexual exclusivity. These three itties really do count down to the end of most relationships. You have to learn how to manage them. And my second book, my second volume, The Top Shelf Man, really most of the book is about managing long-term relationships and getting what you want out of them, which a lot of guys really struggle with. So what does that mean for you? Well, double down on yourself, okay? Don't worry about her. You're not going to force her to want to have sex with you. You're not going to negotiate it with her. She's not going to be convinced if you sit her down and have a long explainer to her, or pull out a whiteboard and start drawing diagrams. None of that matters. You want intimacy from her that is unmitigated, genuine, raw, the kind of stuff that you get early on, if you know what I mean. There's no such thing as a woman that isn't genuinely interested in sex, in my opinion. Women that say that, like, sex really isn't that important to me, I can tell you from my own personal experience and from the many men that I've coached one-on-one privately, the amount of divorced women or women that are out of long-term relationships that behave so enthusiastically in the bedroom when they never gave it to their husbands or their boyfriends over a long period of time is excessive. I remember I had this girlfriend once who was telling me that she dreaded having sex with her husband. And that one time she actually went to the bathroom afterwards and cried in her hands, closed the door, and turned on the shower so that she could let all these tears out. But on the other hand, she's all over me like a fat kid on cake, multiple times a day, very enthusiastically, doing just about anything I wanted. So that's a lie, if I'm being honest with you. Again, the go plan is the same as a stay plan. You need to level yourself up in the 7 spokes of a high value man, as I speak about in the second edition of my first book. You've already read it, so you know what they are. Read it again and make sure that you're doing the work in those areas. And again, if she doesn't respond positively, you have a choice. You can either untie the knot and leave, you can take on a mistress. Basically, it's fuck me or fuck you is what it boils down to. And if she's not going to enthusiastically want to be with you, then find it elsewhere. I hate to tell you this, my friend. I know it's not what most people want to hear, but it's the truth. It is what it is. Now, if you want some help with that, I have a school on the school community called the School of Unplugging. It's got several modules in it, including some new ones that I'm adding on the 7 spokes of a high value man, how to level up, how to manage it and get what you want out of long-term relationships. I'll leave a link for that pinned below. You should definitely join. It's less than $50 a month. There's no long-term commitment, and you'll get coaching by me in a group setting along with a ton of other guys that are in the exact same environment as you. Go check that out. Make sure you grab my second book, and we'll see you guys in the next video. And if you have some advice for this gentleman, leave a comment below. Peace out.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.